The words of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, about the impossibility of winning a war on the defensive may indicate preparation of a new offensive campaign by Ukraine. This opinion was expressed on air by the military analyst, reserve major, veteran of the Russian-Ukrainian war, Oleksiy Hetman, on Channel 24. These last two things give us a premonition that we are planning some actions, some offensive actions most likely. It is difficult to interpret Syrsky's words otherwise, Getman said. He also commented on the issue of peace talks between Ukraine and the Russian Federation. According to him, it is difficult to say now who would benefit most from a pause in hostilities at the front. The enemy has the tactical initiative. The enemy has a numerical advantage. We have certain problems with the staffing of our units that are leading on the front line. The Russians do not want to agree to any suspensions yet. They do not want a pause because they assume that this is an additional amount of weapons that our partners must transfer to us. It is quite possible that Trump will want to increase the pressure on Russia. Therefore, this pause may be more in our favor. A short pause of several weeks will benefit us, and a long pause of several months will benefit the Russians, Hetman added. Recall Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began on February the 24th, 2022, with Western officials initially estimating the capital, Kyiv, would fall quickly. But over 1,000 days later, Kyiv and most of Ukraine still stand despite Russian President Vladimir Putin's goal of capturing the capital and forcing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's army to surrender. Ukraine has not fallen due to the grit of its people and unprecedented assistance from its Western partners, but it has lost nearly 20% of its territory and tens of thousands of citizens, including soldiers and civilians. And with Russia still on the march, the war is far from over. The Kremlin's invasion has become a war of attrition, with both sides grinding it out from labyrinth, trenches, and the front line stretching more than 1,000 kilometers from southern Kherson region to Kharkiv in the northeast. Military officials, soldiers, and analysts say the next few months will be a critical phase in the war as Ukraine attempts to stabilize its defenses and strengthen its eastern position in case it is forced by Trump into negotiations with Putin.
Donald and Melania Trump arrived at the White House Monday morning for a pre-inaugural tea, restoring the traditions around a peaceful transfer of power. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden greeted the Trumps at the White House North Portico, greetings and posing for photos ahead of a private meeting over tea and coffee. "Welcome home," Biden said to Trump after the president-elect stepped out of the car. According to Associated Press, Biden wrapped his hand around Trump's upper arm to escort him inside the mansion. Trump, who overcame impeachments, criminal indictments, and a pair of assassination attempts to win another term in the WH, will be sworn in Monday as the 47th U.S. president, taking charge as Republicans claim unified control of Washington and set out to reshape the country's institutions. Trump's swearing-in ceremony, moved indoors due to intense cold, will begin at noon Eastern Time. But festivities will start earlier when the incoming president arrives for service at St. John's Episcopal Church. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday congratulated Donald Trump on taking office and welcomed his intention to open a dialogue with Moscow. According to Associated Press, speaking during a video call with members of Russia's Security Council just before Trump's inauguration, Putin said that, "We hear the statements from Trump and members of his team about their desire to restore direct contacts with Russia, which were halted through no fault of ours by the outgoing administration. We also hear his statements about the need to do everything to prevent World War III," Putin said in televised comments. "We certainly welcome such an approach and congratulate the US President-elect on taking office." He emphasized that a dialogue between Russia and the US should be based on equal basis and mutual respect, taking into account the important role our countries play on some key issues on the global agenda, including the strengthening of global stability and security. Putin noted Moscow is open for dialogue with the Trump administration on the conflict in Ukraine. "As for the settlement of the situation, I would like to underline that its goal should not be a short truce, not some kind of respite for regrouping forces and rearmament with the aim of subsequently continuing the conflict, but a long-term peace based on respect for the legitimate interests of all people, all nations living in this region."
Прорабатывать этот вопрос, не забывать об этом и сделать все для того, чтобы сегодня в Вашингтоне проходит инаугурация Дональда Трампа в качестве 47-го президента США. Очевидно, что предвыборный период был для господина Трампа во всех отношениях нелегким. На него и даже на членов его семьи постоянно оказывалось жесточайшее давление. Дело дошло до попыток покушения на его жизнь. Но он проявил мужество, одержал убедительную победу на выборах. Мы видим заявление вновь избранного президента США и членов его команды о желании восстановить прямые контакты с Россией, прерванные не по нашей вине уходящей администрации. Слышим также его заявление о необходимости сделать все, чтобы не допустить Третьей мировой войны. Безусловно, мы приветствуем такой настрой и поздравляем избранного президента Соединенных Штатов Америки со вступлением в должность.
Как это повлияет на различные конфликты?
Исходим из того, что диалог будет строиться на равноправной и взаимоуважительной основе, учитывая ту значимую роль, которую играют наши страны по ряду ключевых вопросов повестки дня в мире, включая и укрепление стратегической стабильности и безопасности. Мы также открыты для диалога с новой администрацией США по украинскому конфликту. Что же касается самого урегулирования ситуации, то вновь хочу подчеркнуть, его целью должно быть не краткое перемирие, а не какая-то передышка для перегруппировки сил и перевооружения с целью последующего продолжения конфликта, а долгосрочный мир на основе уважения законных интересов всех людей, всех народов, которые проживают в этом регионе. Но мы, конечно, будем бороться за интересы России. Наш гражданин оказался на свободе. Что касается...